Hey guys, back with another Maplestory video here. This time, I finally solo will clear. I'm at 72 mil cap here, around 35% ignore my defense, and this is the most stressful content, solo content I've ever done. Like, it's the combination of it being a 15-minute fight, and it's a combination of like, just how I die and fail literally at the last second of a 15-minute fight, phase 3. I'm going to get into it, but first I want to talk about this will test, this phase 1, okay? So at 1358, right? We all take the test. Screen crack's going to come, and then followed by screen crack. If you hit this check mark, you are going to enter sort of the test. The orbs coming down, gold orbs, purple orbs. If you know Will, you know what I'm talking about. So there's a little secret in solo mode and in multi mode, but it's definitely more noticeable in solo. But in hard mode, we've done it too. But this is shout out to Andy for this idea. And I talked about it in my previous episode, but here it is again, where this little comes up right here. Attack the people to redirect the moonlight. Use this to create a moonlight barrier. So what it's saying is if you hit this eye, the pupil, in this room, the blue room, it's going to trigger the orbs in the purple room, and vice versa. If I was to attack the pupil here, see how my passive damage is attacking the pupil, but it's not spawning orbs. It's spawning orbs in the blue room. So the secret is obviously to get everyone into the same room. Everyone into the same room, attacking the same pupil, and then one person go into the other room, get the gold orb, and trigger the gold barrier in the middle, and then take this test. Okay? So the strategy here, attack one room eye, go into the other, only one person. Everyone, the rest of the 9 people should all be in the same room. It should all be, in this case, in the purple room. Right? Just call out which room you want to be in. One person goes back and forth to trigger it to grab the golden orb, and then you should get results like this where no orbs come down. And the only way that this works is if people are fast enough, to be honest. Because once you start passive damage attacking, that's going to keep triggering orbs. So even if I stood in it for a little bit too long, the orbs are already starting and it's over. So you want to be very quick to coordinate what room you want to stay in and who's going to go move and get the orb. So phase 2, man, I'm going to tell you guys right now, phase 2 in team is pretty stressful, right? People die not filling their gauge enough in time. Phase 2 in solo is a whole nother monster. Like if you don't know your rotation, the skill rotation, like when spider comes, like I did right there, you're not going to pass, right? Like you have to know when to use your iframes. So here is going to come after this. I used my iframe right there. And the biggest struggle is, here's spider, is that in solo mode, the gauge, you're going to find out that the gauge in phase 2 and in phase 3 specifically are so slow. And every time you get hit, your gauge is not going to fill. It's going to be delayed, right? So that's why it is super important to know the rotation, know your DPS, and know when to use your gauge, honestly. Like you can't just spam this thing. You're going to run out. Like if like right here, I just got enough gauge just in time. So if I run out of gauge here in the test, but during the test is a great opportunity to refill your gauge. Look at me. By the end of this test, I'm going to be full. My gauge is going to be filled from 0 to 100. And that is what's going to hold me over. But that first 100% to 50% in phase 2 is actually a very sneaky way to take deaths and kind of screw you in phase 3 and eventually cause you to fail. So be very aware and on top of it. And man, this fight is a monster. 15 minutes of just locking into every skill, every rotation, like your gauge, your iframes, your cooldowns, your damage, like way you coordinated everything. So one of the things that I learned here with my Demon Slayer is that I could not like is that I had to be really careful about what cooldowns I had available between phase 2 and phase 3. So I couldn't just spam everything, my dark side, my long burst, my long iframes for phase 2 just to make it easy on myself and then be left with nothing for phase 3 cuz phase 3 again is so hard in solo mode for a combination of reasons that just are, you know, very uncommon in team mode. So right there I had to be very careful, almost died again. I don't know why I took that attack there. Spider, iframed. Yeah, he's my heal iframe. So again, I have to be careful with how I spam my gauge here. And I got to kill it here soon. Okay, perfect. So I was able to successfully sort of leave myself with iframes here in my dark meta, my impenetrable. I'll have this, my Ravenstorm backup, all available for me at the beginning of phase 3 because I need options in phase 3, and you'll see what I have to deal with. Because if you've done solo will, whether you've cleared or not, you have most likely ran into the situation that I'm going to run into. And this is kind of the make or break as far as getting the clears. Because the margins are slim. And once you have a death, it is just so hard to recover from. It snowballs so quickly. So I'll show you what I'm talking about here. First off, just being very careful with my gauge. Getting into phase 3. So in phase 3 here, it works out nicely where I have everything, and I learned this strategy here, that I had to actually learn more about my class and what defensive skills I have. So right here, you can see I'm trying to use my E skill, which is my big burst, immediately. So I have essentially it up at the end of this fight. Because I know phase 3 from experience and a lot of fails that it takes me about 4 minutes to clear phase 3. So that if I use that iframe right away, my big burst right away, I'll have it right at the start of the fight, phase 3. I'll have it at 2 minutes, and then I'll have it at that 4-minute mark. So I'll get 3 good uses out of it. And that's what I needed to actually finish off this fight. So you see here, just like phase 1 and phase 2, really trying to dodge 3 main skills. So that skill right there is what I call white eyes, and that is it is a 90% HP attack, HP percent attack, HP scaling. So even though I have 300k HP, which I rerolled potentials just for this, it's going to hit 270k. So that's why I kept using iframes there to rotate through them so that I was able to handle them. And I tried to dodge here too, but I think I used my iframes. And during my iframes, I made sure to cleanse webs because usually you want to DPS during your iframes, which it may work for you. But I found out that was sort of the best time for me to cleanse my webs safely. Because what's happened before is I would cleanse webs and then I would get hit by white eyes. So I had to make sure I had an iframe there to use, which I did, just in case white eyes came. So I'm trying to be like, you can see, I'm playing honestly insane right here. And I've done this many times and I still have failed before because this last 2 minutes, there's still 2+ minutes left in this fight. I messed up my blink there. And one thing to notice about solo will that I didn't mention is that every time I fill my gauge and I go to cleanse, so here again, I'm trying to use my burst right away here. Right there, wait for DS4 and I used it. So in team mode, cleanse is 2 webs. But in solo mode, you can actually cleanse 4 webs. So you see, when I go to cleanse here, the little thing comes up for about 5 seconds. I have 4 webs to cleanse. And that is going to be crucial info to know. I don't know how I dodged that. Because in This fight, the webs come fast and the gauge does not fill up fast enough. Like I said in phase 2, the rate at which you fill the gauge is the biggest like obstacle, an RNG obstacle that makes this fight sort of a, there's honestly a timer to it. Because the way you fill gauge and get it delayed is kind of RNG based, I'm pretty sure. Because I think the legs, like these little spider leg attacks, prevent me from filling my gauge for a few seconds. So right here, I have impenetrable skin. I was able to get behind it just enough right there to avoid the webs. But look at this chaos. This is how every single will run is. I use my iframe right there just to be safe. And I was able to get out a few cleanses here and fill my gauge just enough where I was able to get an extra right here cleanse, which is honestly, I think, huge. It saved me a few extra seconds. I was able to iframe this, and it just allowed me more time to get my cooldowns back. I got some space because look at this. At some point, my gauge is not filling. So I'm going to get overrun. If I die for a second, like right here, this is like, I have 3 lives left, guys. And the map is filled with webs. So basically what happens is I have to be fast enough to all cure impenetrable skin iframe before the webs re-stun lock me. And I've been so slow so many times. I learned so much about my skills that impenetrable skin has to be the play here. And if I use this, or even this sometimes, it's not fast enough when I all cure into iframe. And then I get re-stun locked and I use the other life. So what I have to do here, wait for all these skills to come off a cooldown. And that's what I was talking about, where I had to strategically use this skill immediately, so I knew it was coming back at the end. So impenetrable skin, Mastema burst, or big snake burst in the impenetrable, and this is another iframe burst. And I needed every single bit of damage right there with the little fist bump. Fist bump on the table here. Because I failed literally for 2.5 hours today. Fist bump, let's go. 2.5 hours today trying to solo this. And every single time I'd come up to it and fail at that last moment of webs, like literally without fail. Actually, the most stressful thing that I've ever done. And one of the things I learned, last thing, kind of DS nerding out here, but I played it so that after I used all of these cooldowns here first, my big iframes, my best cooldowns, and once they were all used up here, I had to manually use this skill, which is usually just a DPS skill, but it's 10% HP reduction. So basically the white eye skill, if I for some reason was not able to like iframe it or dodge it, I was getting hit by it for one-shotted basically. So just that little 10% difference actually saved me so many times since I made the change. So like little nerdy stuff like that is kind of what makes solo, like having to solo, be able to solo will or any solo content with like minimal gear, where it's every run is so close to pass or fail. So I hope that helps you guys. This was honestly one of the most stressful solo contents. Like I failed many multiple will teams. This is by far way more stressful. So hope you guys enjoy. Hope you guys get your will cleared. Hope that phase 1 test and kind of these little tips and tricks for phase 2 and phase 3 really help you get these will solo clears, because it is rewarding when you get it done. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.